It's time to talk some NFL free agency, everybody. We're 2 minutes ahead of the new league year as I am live right now. What's going on, everybody? That time of year again where your team is going to make a major mistake. But it's a fun time of year. Free agency has changed a lot over the years. I think that there are actually a lot of good moves made in free agency, and a lot of teams are getting closer to the Super Bowl because they've gotten better at free agency than teams were 10 years ago. But still, in a lot of cases, bad teams stay bad, good teams get better. So, time to see what the new league year brings in 2021. What's up, everybody? Just wanted to hang out for a little bit, and I love streaming on like some of these big NFL event days, like first day of the league year. Of course, we know a lot of the contracts that are about to become official. There might be a couple that end up not going through, like the Anthony Barr deal. He was a Jet for like 8 hours. And then he's like, actually, that sounds horrible. I want to stay in Minnesota. And that hasn't actually gone that well. But, should be a lot of fun to see things come official and then the dominoes just keep falling. And there should be, you know, some surprises still. I think the big thing I'm waiting on now is like this receiver market has to get started. Like Corey Davis, I thought would get more. But that kind of sets the market for like high quality receiver around $13 million a year when they certainly want to be getting more. When you consider some of the large deals that have been given out in recent years. I mean, Stephon Diggs got a new contract with the Bills. Amari Cooper got one with the Cowboys. So 13 million isn't actually like great money. Like top receivers right now, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is making 27 a year. That's 2 Corey Davises. You know what I'm saying? Diggs actually got 14 a year. 14-4. Did he get a new deal with the Bills? I can't remember actually. I felt like he did. That number seems a bit low for a new deal. Amari got his at 20 a year. So you're already talking like a 30% discount at wide receiver right now. And that's why Golladay hasn't signed. That's why Will Fuller's still around. Curtis Samuel. Can't wait to see what happens. As long as no receivers go to Green Bay, it's going to be a very happy time. What's up, King? You already know. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate the super chat. Giants getting Golladay at 4 or later. Mark my words. Manifest it. Speak it into existence. I'll try it. Will Fuller's going to be a Viking by the end of the day. You know, I was actually going to come on stream. I had an angle here for the stream, all right? I was going to come on here and say, all right, the Vikings can't fix all their issues. So maybe the best thing to do is some of their remaining money. You got to get an offensive lineman or two, which might eat up the rest of their space. But my whole point was going to be just get better where you're already strong and add another receiver like Will Fuller or Curtis Samuel. But they don't play 3 receivers. Now, I wonder if they had somebody better than BC Johnson or Chad Beebe if we'd see more 11 personnel. But something tells me that this is... they play so much 11 because of the scheme and what they want to do, and also out of necessity, because if you go 3 wide, I mean, you're not giving yourself an advantage as opposed to your 11 personnel. Vikings just made the signing with Dalvin Tomlinson official pending physical. I mean, there are a bunch of contracts. Not going to be surprised if 1 or 2 have failed physicals and players get reverted. I mean, think about the Ryan Grant deal a couple years ago. He was going to get a mega contract with the Ravens and, you know, failed physical, ends up getting a small deal with the Raiders. Or the Colts. I forget where he went. I think he's been on both teams. Kirk Cousins isn't the guy. You're right. I don't believe Kirk Cousins is the guy. I think that he should be traded or take a pay cut, personally. Now, Cousins got the extension not long ago. His current per year salary places him 7th. But the numbers that really matter are the cap hits. And we're talking 2022. a cap hit of $45 million. That's going to be when they can cut him and save like 25. Still eating 10 of it, but you're probably looking at Kirk Cousins being a Vikings quarterback for one more year unless they do another extension. Hey Kane, what are your thoughts on the Bears signing Andy Dalton? The Super Bowl odds dropped when that happened. I'm not surprised. I mean, they were never going to get Russ. Watson, I think, is a possibility. I mean, it looks like he's going to be traded. I still think, like, place like Carolina or San Francisco, Denver would be my preferred destinations for him. But, Andy Dalton to the Bears, I mean, I think he's better than Nick Foles. And I think for 16 games, he's better than Trubisky. Trubisky had like a decent 3-week stretch and everybody was talking extension for a minute there and then reality set in. 16 games of Dalton over 16 games of Trubisky. Although if it's like 3 games, I might even take Trubisky because that might be the good 3-game stretch. What do you want to see in Madden 22? Hopefully revamped scouting. I want to see what they do with the coaching staff thing that we got teased a couple weeks ago. And continuing to develop the AI for team management by the CPU and making them just more competitive overall so franchises are strong the deeper you go when they're making good decisions. Yeah, so there are a few teams that I think stand out right now, good and bad. The thumbnail, I put Jonnu Smith on there. Now, what I wanted to do here is I wanted to control all 32 teams and try to, like, simulate free agency here a little bit. But I can't control all 32 if I want to use real rosters at, and everything. So I'm just going to sim to the next stage, and I want to see what the game does. But the Patriots are obviously the talk of everything right now. Jacob dropping the 100 bomb. What are you doing, man? Thank you. I'm excited about the Chargers locking up Michael Davis and signing Lindsley and Filer. The Hayward cut was tough, but do you think the second round tender on JC Jackson is worth it? Keep up all the great content. You're the best. I think the Chargers have done a pretty good job. I mean, O-line has not been good, it seems like, forever. The Chargers and the Vikings, when you think about it, are the same exact team, just in different conferences. And, you know, Corey Linsley, Matt Filer, good signings. Filer was $7 a year. They didn't have to break the bank. I mean, you look at the contract Joe Thuney got from the Chiefs. That's what you can pay at guard. But I think the goal at guard should honestly to just get to average. Like, if you have an awful offensive line, just try to get to average at guard. You don't have to have the number one guy. If he's already on your team like Quentin Nelson, yeah, sign him. But I'm not sure pursuing guard contracts at that salary is the greatest idea, even if you end up with a good player. It just felt kind of weird to me that they moved on from both Fisher and Schwartz, and then Thuney got the huge bag. So I think they could have done better as far as managing what money they have. But I love what the Chargers did. Yeah, Michael Davis, solid corner. Obviously, you lose Hayward. Sometimes you have to give up a player to make moves like this. But yeah, the second round tender on JC Jackson's a little interesting because that's going to probably get some teams interested. Like, if you're picking late in the second round, for instance, like 58th, what's a second round pick to you when you can sign a starting caliber ball hawk at corner? Especially if you're playing a man-heavy scheme. I think that a lot of teams are going to want to sign him to an offer sheet then. My Bills signing Emmanuel Sanders is sneaky good. Yeah. Sanders is still solid. I think he can play a little bit. And that makes it so you're not just replacing John Brown with a complete unknown. Looks like John Brown is going to the Raiders now. I think John Brown's still a really good receiver as well, just struggles to stay on the field at times. So yeah, I think Manny Sanders is a good signing for them. I mean, I'm not sure there's a team in the league that could have signed Emmanuel Sanders and that would be a bad deal. When you can take a reliable third down target and a good, sure-handed, route runner, it's not really going to be a bad move ever. With all the Patriots signings, do you think they're looking to trade for Watson or a guy like Trey Lance in the draft? So I really do like what the Patriots have done for the most part. It looks like those deals, the way they're structured for like Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar, they're not as massive as they initially appeared because of the way they're structured, and they essentially become 1 or 2 year deals. But the fact that they're getting back to this 2 tight end identity, I like Jonnu Smith a lot, and it didn't surprise me that he got one of the biggest contracts. The Patriots are going to get back to playing their style of football. 2 tight ends, create mismatches, run their power running game. Cam Newton's going to have a lot around him to work with this year, and I'm excited to see what the Patriots can do. I like what they're doing. They have the money. I think they're spending it on a lot of solid players, and I think they're shoring up the roster in a way to where they're going to have the flexibility to move up further for a quarterback and not settle necessarily for the 5th or 6th guy. When you don't have to draft a starter in the 1st or 2nd round, now you can talk about moving up. And I think that's what they're plotting to do. Cam Newton at quarterback, 1 year deal. That should tell you everything. You shouldn't write off them trading up for a quarterback with Cam on just the 1 year contract. If it were a 3, then different conversation. But I do think that they're plotting a move up for somebody like Trey Lance or somebody else that they're targeting, and they're going to have the flexibility because of what they've done in free agency. But I'm a big fan of what the Patriots are doing, and I think that, you know, they're not just throwing money at guys. I think Matt Judon's the exact kind of player that the Patriots like on the edge. That 2 tight end approach. I mean, last year it was just wild what they were doing at tight end. Just nothing really, and they didn't have game-changing receivers. It was a mess. Trying to get organized here, and I will catch up on these supers. Thank you everybody for all the comments and everything so far. Hopefully we get some new news to talk about. That's what I want to happen here when I'm live. I think this time a year ago I was saying no, I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to be traded. And then what happened, everybody? Can you refresh my memory? It's not as good as it once was. Oh, you guys are talking about Curtis Samuel now. You know how to get me excited here to talk about stuff. Yeah, Hudson to Arizona is new news. I don't know what the Raiders are doing. Like, they are cutting everybody that they signed 2 years ago. Why not just fire yourself? You're already saying that the moves you made were all bad. And then the Rodney Hudson deal, he was going to be cut, now traded to Arizona. Great move for the Cardinals. Excellent move for them. The Raiders, I don't know what they're doing. I think that the Raiders' actions are the actions of a franchise with split control and no centralized vision. I wouldn't be surprised if there's, you know, this tug of war between Mayock and Gruden, and things could come to a head if winning doesn't start happening. I mean, you're already pulling the plug on all these deals you made 2 years ago. You made those deals. Usually it's the next GM that reverses your mistakes, but they're obviously got these huge contracts, Gruden especially, $100 million. But yeah, the Raiders are acting like a team right now with no real sense of direction to me. Let's see, next comment here. Hey, Kane, been following since the Chargers franchise, the Reggie Shepard days. Love the content in the middle of the Minnesota Dynasty. What are your thoughts on the Show 21 so far? Got a team picked out yet. I'm really excited about their stadium creator. So if I get into a new franchise this year, I might see if I have the creativity to make something cool in there. I'm excited for the show after basically taking a year off, but spending much of the summer watching baseball games. So I have really been itching to play for a while. I don't know about like what kind of a franchise I want to do. There are teams in mind, but I won't know until I start actually messing with them in game what I want to actually play with. Thank you for the super chat, James. Kane, do I think the salary cap is real? The salary cap is real, but it's easily manipulated to the point, up to the point where you have dead money. There comes a point when there's nothing you can do, but we're in an era now where teams are very good at creating contracts that are set up to be restructured, and it's happening after like 1 year in many cases. So it's just so easily manipulated is all. You're pushing cap numbers down the road and trying to space them out so it's not all in the same year. Or maybe you're New Orleans and we are $50 million over the cap, but we're going to sign Taysom Hill to this imaginary monopoly money $140 million deal that I think has 3 voided years on it. So, you know, teams are always doing this stuff, by the way. It's whatever the language of the CBA allows. Like, if you look back at the poison pill, this was when the Vikings signed Steve Hutchinson. When they got Steve Hutchinson, they put a clause in his contract that would... I need to refresh my memory on it. But at the time, the Seahawks had Walter Jones. You know, fantastic tackle. And the Vikings signed Steve Hutchinson. And they put a clause in the, I think it was an offer sheet. I'm going to get, I need to refresh my memory on this so I give you the actual rundown. This is no longer, like, possible. But this is just an example of the way teams manipulate, to the legal extent, what they can do in contracts. So I'm getting refreshed here. The Vikings gave Hutchinson a contract that ensured his entire salary would become guaranteed if any other offensive lineman on the team had a higher salary. And obviously at the time the Seahawks had Walter Jones. So the Seahawks would not have been able to really match that without messing up their cap situation. They filed a grievance. Arbitrator ruled in favor of the Vikings, and that became known as the poison pill contract. And then Steve Hutchinson had a fantastic career with the Vikings, and it was incredible. And I've never missed a guard more than Steve Hutchinson now. You can't do that anymore. Yes, Jackson, still married, still Texas. So back to what I was saying earlier, you know, you can restructure and do all these things to the contracts, and there's nothing really wrong about it. It's just that NFL contracts aren't designed to be, you know, these fully guaranteed deals. So, you know, a player has a base salary and then later down the road, it's unguaranteed, but then you convert it into a signing bonus. And signing bonuses are spread across the life of a contract up to 5 years. So if you sign a player to a 7-year contract, their signing bonus is going to be applied to the first 5, which will give you some cap relief in years 6 and 7 because all you're paying then is salaries. Trying to catch up here. Sup, Kane? How do you feel about the Titans signing Danico Autry and Bud Dupree? Love the content. The Titans are in an interesting bind right now because they're losing so much on offense where they're good. They're also losing a lot on defense where they underperformed a year ago. So Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis are going to be really tough to replace. You still got A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, so it's not necessarily going to be a disaster there. But I think they have to look at addressing something on the offensive side. Signing like Bud Dupree doesn't surprise me. I think the edge market has been a little bit out of control, but I mean, this is every year. This is free agency. You don't pay players in free agency because you can get a good deal. Maybe in 3 weeks, you'll see some deals that are like, hey, that's not too bad. Day one of free agency, though, you're going to pay a premium. I think the Trey Hendrickson deal, that was kind of weird because I think Carl Lawson's better and you already know him. He's been on the team, so why not just keep Lawson in Cincinnati? In the case of Tennessee, Bud Dupree, I think Bud Dupree is a solid player. I don't think he's an upper tier edge rusher, but they got to get pass rush. So they tried last year with Clowney, with Vic Beasley. This is just them trying again. I think it's, maybe not going to be the best value for them, but I do think Dupree's a good player, at least, to take a shot on. I don't think the contract is a great one, though. What do I think of the Trent Williams deal? Him and Mac help a lot, but that's a lot of money. Yeah. And especially, it looks like there's going to be a lot of years on that deal, and Trent Williams is 23. For a top tier, and he is left tackle, blank check, whatever he wants. But I'm wondering what the structure is like, because they're giving him a 5-year deal. And there are some offensive linemen that can play into their late 30s. It's just not super common. But they must be pretty confident that he's not about to fall off or anything. Like Andrew Whitworth has been playing for a long time, and I think that when he went to the Rams, people were like, all right, maybe one more year, go chase a ring or something. And Whitworth has been there now for a few years. That was 2017 he went to the Rams. He's been there and played 4 seasons in his late 30s. So yeah, I mean, on the surface, almost every contract sounds bad. But then you get into it and it's like, oh, there are incentives. Oh, pretty much all the guarantees are done after 2 years. So gut reactions to contracts don't always get you all that far. If you're going to pay too much, though, for a player, make sure they're a really good player, and Trent Williams is. Do I think Russ and Watson will be traded? I don't think so on Russ. I do think so on Watson. I would like to see Carolina be the destination, and I do think they have the most attractive potential trade because they're picking higher than any other team in well, I guess the Jets could be talked about. They're picking higher than a lot of teams, and I think that if they're going to include a starter or two, there are a couple options there, I think, like Robbie Anderson, Dante Jackson. I mean, if you're the Panthers, I think, you probably don't want to give up DJ Moore. You don't want to give up Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, but pretty much anybody else. CMC, I don't think that here's the thing, CMC, fantastic running back. What is he worth in a trade to a team losing a quarterback, though? To me, that wouldn't even move the needle. That'd be like sending Mike Davis to me. Just, CMC's not going to make a difference on the Texans. So I wouldn't even consider him in a trade. Thanks for the stream, Kane. I'm sick and work is too busy to take the day off, so this helps. Hope you're feeling better, Mega. Hope the stream helps you out. Takes your mind off it a little bit. I so badly want Curtis Samuel to be a Dolphin. Seems like a near perfect fit. You guys know I'm a big fan of Curtis Samuel. A couple years ago, I remember watching some of his targets because of fantasy football purposes. You know, there are certain players I like to buy low on in fantasy and get an idea of where they could be going. And I watched all his targets with Kyle Allen a couple of years ago. And there were like 400 or 500 yards worth of deep balls that Kyle Allen just could not hit him on. Curtis Samuel, I do think if he lands with the right team, that he has a chance to be a superstar. Like, he had 1,000 yards from scrimmage last season as the third receiver in that Panthers offense. An offense that, quite frankly, wasn't as good as they should have been. But I think that if Samuel can get somewhere where he can be like the number 2 guy, he is going to absolutely shine in the next couple of years, and he could become one of the best additions in this free agent period. He can give you reps at running back. You can run gadget plays with him, screens, streaks. I think Samuel is a really good player. And a lot of teams I think make sense. I talked about Tennessee yesterday on Twitter just because the Titans have lost so much. I think that if they're to add somebody else, somebody like Curtis Samuel in that heavy play action offense, I mean, when you're focusing your offense like the Titans do, they do it on just a few different players. 1 main running back, 2 main receivers, and then they had Jonnu Smith last year. Those are your focal points. Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown are already so good at what they do. Imagine throwing in Curtis Samuel and letting him run those deep crossing patterns off play action, or running and taking the top off the defense, or you throw screens to him. Like, that trio in that scheme is like, I think, the dream fit. I really do. Kane, what are the Vikings doing? They don't got much money, and I'm not sure how much of a destination they are to free agents, because I kind of feel like things are in a bad spot for the Vikings. I don't know if the team has bought in as much as they have in recent years as far as trusting the vision and the steering of the ship with management and Coach Zimmer. So I don't know what more I expect. I hope they can add a lineman. I would like to see them also get a receiver. Doesn't have to be, you know, Curtis Samuel or Will Fuller, although I would love that. But I think maybe taking a shot here and getting a third receiver. I was looking at the list of players last night of who I thought was a reasonable option for them. Let me see here. I'm trying to remember now. Like, I think a 1-year deal for somebody like Sammy Watkins or Rashad Perriman, like, if Marvin Jones is getting 7, I'm looking at players that I think will get less. So, like, one of those two I think would be really solid additions. I don't think I'd even mind a 1-year deal for Danny Amendola just to be the slot receiver or get some opportunities there. Might take a little bit away from Thielen, though, and he's so good there. So, maybe not the best option. But there are still some receivers I think that they could take a look at. Even like Keelan Cole. What do you want to see? I think I answered that one for Madden 22. Well, Jacob, you sent that twice. Appreciate the super chats. My soul hurts losing Hunter Henry to the Pats. Yeah, you know, I think that's a tough loss for the Chargers, but you gain so much on the offensive line. I think you're going to be fine. And I know one tight end there people are excited about. Now his name escapes me, so I need to look it up. And it's pretty common to see tight ends move on after their first contract, so this isn't too surprising or anything. Donald Parham. I think he's going to be a guy that gets a lot more opportunities a year from now. Can you explain the whole void years meaning, if able? Really confused on all of it. So, I'm not really an expert on contracts as much. Swami knows a lot more than I do. But when it comes to void years, just basically, I think it's like they're kind of, like how you see in the NBA contracts a lot, like options. Contracts voiding just means like the contract is going to be, you know, like, I'm trying to explain it because I don't even know how to explain it that well. There's an article here I'm reading. Yeah, so if they don't come to an agreement on an extension beforehand, then the contract voids. Really weird setup here. I don't really like that those are used so much. I would prefer that they use a lot more team and player options personally, like you see in NBA contracts. It's kind of a weird thing. So those years are voidable. Raiders are shopping more linemen? Are you serious? The Colts are re-signing running back Marlon Mack. Can't expect that to be too much. And he's a solid running back. I think if you have him, Taylor, I like Nyheim Hines a lot. You don't gotta address a running back. Mack for $2 million, Jones for 12. Yeah, $2 million for Marlon Mack. Heck yeah. Vikings re-signed BB? Really? Yep, Chad Beebe returns to the Vikings. What is this? They like him a lot. Yeah, the Vikings offered to Mac Alexander. They were rumored to also be in on Shaquille Griffin. I'm wondering why they didn't target a corner last year when they were going to be playing all rookies, essentially, and it was predictably bad, especially for the first half of the season. But I don't think these competitive deals are going to favor them. They can't really go as high as other teams. There should be somebody, though, that they can add, I think. I do think adding a veteran's a good idea. Mac Alexander, I would be down with him returning. I wouldn't even mind, you know, if the Bears like have to end up releasing Kyle Fuller, which I would think they could figure out a trade for him. Like, I really like Kyle Fuller. There's a lot of corners available. If you just need like a third starter, like there are so many. I mean, right now you got Bashad Breeland, Xavier Rhodes, Adoree Jackson, Troy Hill. And we're not talking about the best corners necessarily, but there are options here. I think Justin Coleman got signed. Casey Hayward got cut. Malcolm Butler got cut. Yeah, William Jackson got the big deal. I was wondering, how this whole thing would go, because obviously with the cap dropping this year, it's not going to be a great year for a lot of these free agents. A few are going to secure major contracts, but I think for a lot of players, it's just going to be a lot of one-year deals. Try to find the right situation to reset your market next year when the cap goes up. So that's where I think a lot of teams like, any playoff team from last year that has an opening is attractive. Because if you can go somewhere like Green Bay or Tennessee or something and just play 1 year, get a lot of opportunities to show what you can do, cash in big next year, hopefully do a bunch of winning this year, that kind of sets you up. I wouldn't expect John Ross to have a huge year in New York. I don't mind the signing there. It's not bad if he can stay on the field, but I do think that the quarterback situation there is not great. I talked about Dalton to the Bears earlier, Jonathan. I don't think it changes a lot. The play you're going to get from Dalton for 12 games, it's not going to be marginally, it's not going to be like super different from a year of Foles and Trubisky, I don't think. There'll be some good games, but you know what you're getting. Love the Wednesday stream. Not sure if anyone else had this, but with the new update, punters not valued at all. I had 3 teams cut 75 overall on rookie deals, cut for 69 overall vets. Go Broncos. That's a little strange. Yeah, the problem with a lot of these updates is they introduce new problems that have to be fixed. Hi Kane, why haven't you done a Madden 21 franchise? So I'm not doing one on this channel because I like doing the Broncos series so much, and I want to keep doing it. On my second channel, however, I am doing a series with the Houston Texans, and I'm posting another episode today after the stream, and I am really enjoying my series there, but it's a very different series from like my Broncos. I did like the Fitzpatrick signing. Yeah, I think that Washington is trying to get somebody in there for competition. As far as the backup quarterback market goes, like Fitz is the one that if I had to start someone for 16 games, maybe end up helping a rookie along, Fitz is the guy. Like, I think the Bears would have been much better off with Fitzpatrick. I don't think, I think it would be better. I don't want to say much better, because there's going to be some bad Fitzmagic games in there, but plenty of good ones. But I'm glad he's now on a team where he's got a very good defense, and the offense there is getting better. Oh, and someone asked earlier about the Yannick Ngakoue deal for the Raiders. I actually do think that's a pretty good move. I don't think that they paid a ton. Maybe he's not a top tier edge rusher, but I think he's in like that next tier. And I thought, he was solid with the Vikings last year at creating pressure, and I knew once that he was traded, they were going to miss him, and sure enough, they did. I think that expectations were a little bit higher for his season a year ago, but I think that's actually a pretty good move. Who is your go-to for scouting? I like to watch, I go through a little bit of everything. PFF, obviously, with their stats and everything and the way they look at things. I like to read the PFF draft guide, but I'll pretty much go to any source. I'll read Lance Zierlein scouting reports on NFL.com. I'll see what's on CBS. A lot of the YouTubers in the community, like Bengals, C4, I think that I really enjoy their content for it as well, and they're more plugged into the college game than I certainly am. I really like the content that Marcus makes over at that franchise guy. I can never remember the acronym and what it stands for. That franchise guy. I like his content a lot. I know he grinds everything during the season and does all these recaps, and I've really enjoyed those videos. Listened to a lot of those. So yeah, no shortage of good content out there. Oh, Move the Sticks podcast, absolutely. Like, two of my favorite draft personalities and analysts are Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. Am I into sports cards? Not really. It's obviously gotten big in the last few years. I think mostly because of the money-making side of it. One of the main reasons I haven't really gotten into it is because if I'm not willing to get into the big money boxes and mess around with that, I'm just going to end up with a lot of extra cardboard around the house. And I already got cards. And I'm trying to simplify things, not make them more complex, you know? How do I feel about AJ Green to Arizona? I mean, AJ Green wasn't great last season. It's worth a shot, but I don't think it's going to make a big difference personally. One team to monitor. The Jaguars have received a few calls from teams inquiring about quarterback Gardner Minshew. That's from Ian Rappaport. I think if you're a team that's counting on playing a rookie this year and you want a veteran, and maybe that veteran plays part of the year. I mean, he's played 2 years, but I guess he's still kind of a veteran quarterback. He has 2 years of experience. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Like, Trevor Lawrence is going to play there. I think, actually, they should find somebody more experienced to be his backup. I don't think that Minshew is the right quarterback on the team to accompany somebody like Trevor Lawrence. Bring in somebody just with, like, 10 years of experience. Not Gardner Minshew. You know, a Chad Henne type of backup, I think, fits what Jacksonville needs. Let Lawrence play and just give somebody a glorified quarterback coach, you know? Chase Daniels, yeah, exactly. Brian Hoyer. Should the Vikings sign McLeod Bethel Thompson? One of my favorite backups. McLeod Bethel Thompson. Didn't he like have success in the Canadian League? Oh, he's still playing. The Aviators. Who are the Aviators? Oh, that's the Spring League. He was playing for the Toronto Argonauts as of 2019. Yeah, Alex Mack to San Francisco, and that deal looks like it's $5.5 million. Like, not bad. Upgrading your line for that? Pretty easy. Yeah, that's a good move. Let's change up the music here. Now, I wanted to get to the game as well. I'm just trying to catch up on stuff because I wanted to kind of simulate what teams in here are going to do. I went into a cloud franchise at the Super Bowl and simulated because I wanted to see what teams would do on Madden and see if we can see anything that matches up with what has happened already. Thoughts on the Eagles' cap situation? Yeah, there are a lot of teams whose cap situations have kind of kept them out of the talk for now, like the Atlanta Falcons. Haven't done anything besides trade for Lee Smith. So, when you're looking at teams right now that don't have a lot of cap space, we're talking about like the Eagles, Saints, Vikings, Falcons, Steelers. As far as my thoughts on their cap situation, if I pull up their page, if they're to try to save any money to get in on anything, I don't really see a lot of opportunities, honestly. I kind of think they're stuck where they're at. And they are, because they have a lot of pretty good players. I kind of think they just have to wait until the draft at this stage. They're kind of stuck. Just checked in. What are your thoughts on the moves the Raiders have made? A lot of them, I think, I didn't really understand the Rodney Hudson move. I liked the Ngakoue signing. I just thought that overall, it was just weird that they've been basically cutting all the players they signed a couple years ago. And it just kind of seems like a team with no real direction yet. Hey Kane, just tuning in. What do you think about the Pats' move so far in free agency? I love what the Patriots have done, Gio. I really think that they are building a good thing on offense with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, and I think that they're setting themselves up to have a big bounce back year. And then Gordon Urban sends one, just a small token for all the entertainment you have given over the years. Go Warhawks. Thank you, Gordon. And I'm officially caught up. I'm hoping the Cowboys sign Keanu Neal. Yeah, he's somebody that's dealt with injuries in recent years. Let's see how many games he's played recently, because he's a really fun player when he's on the field. If you want a guy especially to be a box safety, especially in like that cover 3 strong safety type of role, I mean, he's your guy. An absolute hammer. In 2020, he played 15 games. But it was 2018, 2019, he played a combined 4 games. So, I think he'll get a decent deal somewhere. But it'll probably be more like a 1 or 2 year kind of prove it situation. I know the Vikings are interested. I would kind of prefer them to try to find a more center fielder type of free safety that allows Harrison Smith to play closer to the line of scrimmage more often as he gets older. What would it take for the Vikes to trade for Watson? An absolute miracle. It would take Cousins, probably 3 first-round picks, Danielle Hunter. It would take a lot. We're going to block this person. None of that here. Been watching you since I was 12. I'll be 23 this year. That means I've gotten a lot older. Thank you for the entertainment over the years. Fingers crossed we get a Patriots franchise next. Thank you, Visions. It's a long time. 12 to 23. You know I'm going to be 29 this year? That's when the regression really starts. Thoughts on the Tack McKinley signing? Yeah, low risk, 1 year flyer on a talented pass rusher. You never know. You might end up with the next Shaq Barrett. He was a 1 year flyer guy that absolutely dominated. And I'm happy to see him get the big money. I thought he'd get even more. Maybe took the Super Bowl stick in Tampa discount. I think I gotta change my YouTube name. I'm almost 30 now. What's wrong with Mega Muffin 15? Would you give up the farm as Vikes GM for Watson? 100%. Yes. Danny, thank you for the super chat. Where do you see Juju, Galladay, and Samuel signing? I do think that Juju in Baltimore would be a good fit. I really do. And part of me wants to see him face the Steelers and then to face him. It's kind of fun when rivals go to, free agents go to rivals. Kenny Galladay, to me, he is like, you know, the best receiver available. And it's so strange to me that he doesn't have a big deal yet. I'm guessing it's because he doesn't want a Corey Davis contract. He wants like 18, 20. And this is not the year to get 18 or 20 million dollars. We keep having these deep rookie receiver classes, and there are other options. So, where does Kenny Galladay end up? I think the Giants would be a great fit. And certainly, they have a need for a number one caliber receiver like Galladay. Jets already signed Corey Davis. I think that Miami would be an interesting team to look at as well. And the Titans, I mean, they don't have a number two ready to step in, so I mean, I don't think they're going to sign Kenny Galladay, but they have cap space. Presumably, I'm not sure how much Bud Dupree hurts that. I think Galladay to the Ravens would also be pretty cool. Where do I think James Conner will end up? James Conner. I think the Lions would have been an interesting landing spot, pairing him with DeAndre Swift, but they just signed Jamal Williams. I think the Falcons could be a spot for him, honestly. They don't have a lot of money, but I don't think Connor's going to get a huge deal. I also don't think that he'd be a bad replacement for Mark Ingram. Like, imagine him. Well, I mean, they kind of replaced him by having J.K. Dobbins on the team a year ago. But imagine Connor and Juju going to the Ravens. That would be excellent to watch. I could also see Connor going to Denver. No green on today. I don't own anything with green. Actually, no, I have a Hawaii football shirt that I did not wear when I was streaming because my chroma key settings would not allow it. Obviously, it's green. Green screen setups don't really work for that. Alright, so I want to see what's actually happened here in the game as I've simmed to the open free agency. So here we have 18 teams interested in Corey Linsley. We have Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, the Jets wanting Chris Carson, Marlon Mack, and the Dolphins. Melvin Ingram's available, that's right. Now, a lot of these players have already been signed and whatnot. I couldn't set this up any better in Madden. I just wanted to mess around with this here. Larry Fitz to the Vikings, 1 year, $4 million. Do not play with me. Do not play with me. I love Larry Fitzgerald to the Vikings. I don't think it actually happened, but I could see that happening. Larry Fitzgerald finishing his career in Minnesota. Oh, I've wanted that to happen for 10 years. No, Hayden, don't do that. See, the thing is, though, if you're going to troll, you got to make it believable. When you talk about the 8.7 combine quarterback, that's where I'm like, all right, I don't believe you. I do think Watson's going to be traded, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit closer to the draft. Like, I think we all would like it if everything just kind of happened here in 1 or 2 days. But the process has to play itself out, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest trades that we've seen in recent years. Like, it's going to take some negotiating to get compensation finalized, especially if there are multiple teams involved. Because you're talking multiple first-round picks, starting caliber players, and there's no real rush. Like, if you have Watson today, it changes nothing compared to getting him in 2 weeks. So you want to make sure the deal's right on the Houston side of things and the receiving team side of things. I would actually go download a draft class and do that, G-Money, but the Madden share wasn't working when I was trying to download stuff earlier. I was going to see if anybody made an updated roster for yesterday, for all the signings we've seen to this point. How do I think the Jets will handle the quarterback situation? They're going to find, I think, a new team for Sam Darnold and then take a quarterback in the first round. Start over, try it again, new regime. But I love the Corey Davis signing for them. I think it's one of the best individual moves so far in free agency. Yeah, that is part of it. There was that lawsuit filed against Deshaun Watson, so teams are going to want all that information and go from there once they have all the info there. What are we doing here in Madden? We're just hanging out, talking free agency. Not too much. Yeah, Madden share is I don't know if it's always messed up, but I've had issues with it for a couple of years. It's been really inconsistent. There is an upload today on the second channel, Hayden. I'm going to take just a couple minutes here for a break. I need to go to the bathroom and grab a snack. So I will BRB. Alrighty. We back. What'd I miss? I don't think a lot is happening here at the open of free agency as far as new stuff. What's a snack? Chex Mix. I think my wife ate all the rye chips. I have 0 of those rye chips in my bowl. Oh well. Who had a 46-inch vert? That's unbelievable. Was he like on a trampoline? Favorite part of Chex Mix? Honestly, just the Chex. But I like the other stuff as an accent, like the rye chips. To me, the Chex are the star of the show. And I'm a big fan. I'm not really big on pistachios. I haven't really snacked on cashews in a while. I do have some still. I also got like this giant like drum of peanuts from Costco. I hope they're still good. I think they are. Hey Kane, what do you think about the Jets free agent moves? Also, how do you think they'll handle the quarterback situation from a Jets fan? I like the Corey Davis signing a lot. He had a really big season a year ago, and I think that he's a great addition to their offense, especially when they have like a reliable slot receiver in Jamison Crowder, and then they have a big play, high upside receiver like Denzel Mims. That's going to be a good cast of playmakers for their new quarterback. But I think they still have to work on the offensive line. That's a big concern. And we'll see what they do with that. So this is, again, the free agent class. So far, nothing seems to match at all what's happened in real life. Like, Trey Hendrickson's not getting $60 million. Draft Torque Lewis. I agree, Ben. The Jets should draft Torque Lewis. Yeah, the Jets could use a running back as well. They were playing Frank Gore for much of last year, and then LaMichael Pirine. James Conner makes some sense there as well. Will I make the jump to FIFA for franchise? I would like to check it out eventually. I have a friend who plays FIFA that was showing me a little bit of it a couple months ago. Looked pretty fun. What I like about that too is there's just like so many different leagues. Like if you wanted to, it looks like you could do like an MLS franchise, or you could do the Premier League, or anything you want. There's so many different leagues. Like, do hardcore soccer fans follow like 5 or 6 different leagues? My game just freeze? I was a bit surprised Denver didn't just straight up re-sign Phillip Lindsay, because I think he's a really good running back. I'm a big Philip Lindsay guy as well. Didn't they, like, not even tender him, or what was the news? Because he was undrafted, and those guys are going to have tenders. Original round tender. He was undrafted. You know where Philip Lindsay would fit the best, but I'm not sure there's any room for him on the roster? San Francisco. I'm very interested in where Philip Lindsay goes, because I think he's going to be productive. I'm a Philip Lindsay guy. He's a tough home run hitter. He's he's from Denver. Went to school at Colorado. Played for the Broncos, undrafted. 1,000-yard rookie running back. I am surprised they didn't at least do like a second round tender, and it's not a huge difference to go up to that level 2 tender. I think that'd be. It'd be like if Thielen left the Vikings. Like, that'd be heartbreaking. Hi, Kane. How was the bathroom? Not as much fun as being here with all of y'all. That's why I came back. Which coach style do you prefer, Shanahan or McVay? I like both, but I really like schematically, Kyle Shanahan's offense a lot. Snacking on some Chex Mix. The savory mix, I believe they call it. Which basically just means that they loaded up this entire thing with a bunch of salt, and I like it. Franz, we're just talking free agency about what's happened. You haven't really missed a lot. Not talking about anything like earth-shattering, just going through what's happened and hanging out. I kind of wanted to just simulate free agency here in Madden, though, and see some possibilities. Appreciate the super chat from the Eagles and Steelers fan. So, what happened here? Whoa, Come on, Madden! You got it right there. I just simulated that. Corey Linsley to the Chargers. Amazing. Chris Carson's going to the Jets. I could see that happening. Not for that money, though. Hey, Ken, I just got done rewatching the Twins franchise, and it's still one of my favorites. You ever plan to do another MLB The Show franchise? I'm hoping this year to check it out. Check out doing another series. I learned a lot doing that Twins franchise, and I'm really looking to get back into some baseball soon. And we're not that far away from it, are we? Like, doesn't the show come out very soon? April 16th. We're a month out. So you're telling me I'm going to watch 2 weeks of baseball and then the game comes out. That's weird. Hopefully it's worth the wait. Definitely think the Jets should draft somebody new. I think that it's time for Darnold to move on to a new team and time for them to move on with good quarterbacks in this class. And Marlon Mack going to the Dolphins here. He got 1 year, $2 million to stay in Indy. Melvin Ingram, they have going to the Colts. J.C. Jackson to the Ravens. Desmond King to the Jets. Gronk to the Ravens. Corey Davis to the Colts. And a lot of players would have gotten re-signed in here that obviously weren't in real life. That is a huge deal for Eric Wilson. Holy cow. 5 years, 58, Madden? They have huge linebacker contracts in this game. Yeah, it's the edge market in here. They have it kind of messed up for off-ball linebackers, which Eric Wilson is off-ball. What I want the Vikings to do, though, is play Anthony Barr as much more of a full-time pass rusher. And then have somebody like Eric Wilson, who I think got some valuable play time last year, and have him play Barr's old role. Because I just think that we're like 8 years into Anthony Barr's career, and we've never seen him as a full-time edge rusher. We almost did when he had a deal lined up with the Jets. But I've just really wanted to see him get a chance to rush a passer 500 times. Maybe not 500, maybe a couple hundred at least. I like to see that happen more this year. And I think that his ceiling is higher if he does do more of that. I don't have a second team. Whoever my fantasy teams are that day. That's who I want to do well. If that means I gotta cheer for Amari Cooper and the Cowboys, that means I'm a Cowboys fan for a couple minutes. I wish I could filter out anything under $2 million here. Hey E, thank you for becoming a member or re-upping your membership. I see the number 2 there. Thank you for that support. I think in regards to the March channel member stream, I think we're looking at next weekend. Should be good to go there. Always look forward to those channel member live streams. I dropped a pretzel. I'm eating it too. Do I think the Packers go for Will Fuller? They just don't target free agent receivers, and the production they got from MVS and Alan Lazard might keep them from trying. So, I would think not. Because if they were interested, why not at last year's deadline, or last year's free agency, or the previous year's free agency, or the year before that? The Packers just don't do that. They have their own way of doing things, and now I'm not even sure if they have the cap space, because they had to restructure Zadarius Smith to fit an Aaron Jones contract. How's the food down there in Texas? I absolutely love the food here. Love it. It fits me pretty perfect. My favorite food is pizza, which I think is done best in New York. Love New York pizza. There are some good New York pizza places though here. But obviously the barbecue and the Mexican food is top tier. Chris Carson to the Cardinals, is that confirmed? Honestly, I thought about Funchess there. I thought, like, didn't they sign Funchess? And I'm like, that might have been a series of mine. I don't remember. But yeah, they tried. And that was a super buy low scenario. I want to see numbers on the running back contracts. And I haven't seen anything actually confirmed about Carson to the Cardinals. Not on my feed. I think the Ronald Darby signing in Denver is pretty decent. They didn't have to... I don't think they paid too much for him. Nice move there for new GM George Payton, who had a number of years in the Vikings front office. Fuller will still want a Corey Davis-esque contract. I think so too. Definitely. I wonder if in Fuller's case he ends up with a highly incentivized deal or something with like a bunch of roster bonuses, just because there is a concern about how many games he'll play. Last year, though, was the PED suspension, not injury. A bit late, what's this stream for? Also, hope things are going well. Question is it best the draft per scheme or best player available? We're just talking free agency today. We're just hanging out, having fun, talking about the new year. Nothing too serious today. As far as drafting best for scheme and drafting for best available players, I think the best teams know when they have to go for scheme and know when it's time to go for just simply value. I think that you have to draft and fill needs at a point when you have key positions like tackle or corner, and it's like, okay, we're so weak here. If we don't get better, we're just not going to go that far, or we're going to be exposed when it matters the most. And to me, the prime example of that was always the Panthers in the Super Bowl 2015. They didn't invest very much in tackle. They had a phenomenal year, but when it came time to face Von Miller in the Super Bowl, things did not go well. And I would say that's a lot different than what happened to the Chiefs because they were missing so many linemen. The Panthers were just playing their best guys. So I think that the best teams traditionally can find the best, take the best players and then find ways to utilize them in their scheme. And then later on, maybe drafting a bit more for need and trying to make sure that certain positions have depth and that there aren't any glaring weaknesses. Early on in the draft, I think that you should be trying to get as much value as you can in the first round. You don't want to have to sit there in this first round at like 20 overall, being like, all right, whatever corner's here, best corner, we're going to take him. But I also think you have to find a balance and not get too far on either side, because there are teams that seem to just keep trying to draft value and then certain needs stay problems for years. Look at the Vikings offensive line. It's been this bad for a long time. I like Brian O'Neill though. How do I think the Lions will do this year? I don't think there's any reason yet to think of them as anything more than a 6-win team or so at this stage. Quarterback downgrade to Jared Goff, losing playmakers Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay most likely. I just don't think they're going to replace with enough game-changing talent in a year's time to where 2021 is going to be all that great for them. We haven't really heard anything about the Lions yet in free agency, have we? They don't have a lot of cap space either. What'd they do with it? The Lions right now have $40 million in dead money after trading Stafford. That's half of it. Justin Coleman is $6 million dead money. Desmond Trufant, $6 million dead money. So that's a lot of dead money to be sitting on right now. And for cap numbers this coming year, you got Jared Goff at 28, Trey Flowers basically 20. They acquired Michael Brockers, so that's not nothing. That's a decent move, I think, for their D-line. So them and the Vikings both try to get that D-tackle spot shored up. And yeah, the Dalvin Tomlinson signing kind of caught me off guard there, because I figured they would be looking for a prototypical 3 technique, and instead they get somebody who fits more as a nose, but apparently played a lot more 3-tech last year and had one of his better pass rushing seasons. So I'm hopeful they can find a way to utilize both him and Michael Pierce. I just don't know how much pass rush they're going to get inside with just those two. I have no doubt in them being able to team up and stop the run and getting back to having a good run defense, and that'll be nice. But I still think that you have to think about finding at least a rotational 3 technique to actually get some push up front, and I don't think they've done a very good job at finding that player in recent years. Hopefully it works out as well as the last time they took one of the Giants' defensive linemen, though. I miss Linval. Leonard Williams got the big contract. Over $20 million a season. I feel like the Bucs have done a really good job keeping Shaq Barrett. I know they signed Levante David. They tagged Chris Godwin, signed Rob Gronkowski. Antonio Brown's probably gone. Leonard Fournette, I would assume, as well. But I don't think they're losing anything that even moves the needle. I think they're in great shape. Do I think Kyle Rudolph would be a solid tight end too for Washington? I think he'd be a solid number 2 tight end for anybody. I think there are 32 teams that could use a guy that can score 5 to 8 red zone touchdowns a year. He's sure-handed. He's not going to create a ton of separation or make a lot of big plays, especially at this stage of his career. But He's a solid player, and nice to have a target like him in the red zone. 6'6", can box out just about anybody, and chances are wherever he ends up, he'll have some of the best catches on that team all season. I'm seeing that from a lot of people, that same sentiment, that the Giants are like, or the Giants fans just feeling like, we really didn't want to lose Dalvin Tomlinson. But it kind of makes sense when you have Leonard Williams getting a huge contract, and then you also have Dexter Lawrence. Like, you're usually only keeping 2 of the 3 in those cases, and you keep your best one and your youngest one in a lot of cases. More Falcons head coach. I'm thinking I'll record some of that tomorrow. Got some playoffs to go through. I guess on one hand that it's a little surprising that Dave Gettleman let a good defensive lineman go. Could really use somebody like Kenny Golladay. I like the Darby deal for the Broncos, definitely. '49ers re-signing DJ Jones. DJ Jones is pretty good. I remember watching him a couple times last year. Dolphins are signing former Bills and Washington speedy receiver Robert Foster. So I'm thinking, just with how like the receiver market is obviously not in a good spot. If Corey Davis comes in and sets the bar at 13, that's a good deal, but players like Corey Davis tend to get top dollar when they go to a new team that has a ton of cap space to burn. So getting 13 million really probably ticked off Kenny Golladay, to put it simply. Because to me, Golladay is set, in a normal off season, 18 a year would easily happen. 3 years, 56 million, something like that. So I could see a lot of this just playing out longer. And, especially at wide receiver, things dragging out a little bit. I still think Golladay is going to get the richest per year receiver contract this year, but it might come in about 20% less than he's looking for. He might be able to get 15 somewhere, maybe. There is the risk, though, that the longer you wait, teams are going to feel the need, less teams looking to sign you. Could also drop the price, and he takes like a 1-year deal somewhere for less. Yep, new Texans video today. I was so excited to wake up and record it. I've been wanting to record it since last night. I see 15 to 17 for Golladay. I'm thinking somewhere in that range, maybe on the lower side of it. But it wouldn't shock me if he signs a 1-year deal to get 20 next year. That's how I kind of view it, Stats Life. I mean, free agency is the time to plug needs. So when the draft comes, your goal should be in free agency to fill glaring problems. So when you're drafting, you don't have to take a certain position in the first round or the second round. You should be able to take like the best players that can contribute. BPA is kind of the dream, but a lot of players or a lot of teams don't set themselves up to actually draft that way. You should try to fill as many needs as you can in free agency. And if you go into the draft with the need, you better have a surefire way of filling it. Like going into the draft needing receiver is okay because there's so many. But if you go into the draft and you need to add a starting caliber corner and you're picking in the 20s or later, you're basically guaranteeing yourself you're taking a corner with your first pick. You never want to be that team. You might still get a good player, but it'll change your draft plan. What are your thoughts on drafting running back in the first round? My thoughts are that the running backs that go early in the first round should be going in the mid to late stages of the first round. I don't think bad teams should be taking running backs in the top 5 or the top 10 like we've seen with Zeke, Saquon Barkley, and Christian McCaffrey. I don't think the payoff is there. And when you draft somebody that high, like Saquon Barkley was, Saquon Barkley hadn't played a single down and was a top 5 paid running back because of the way those contracts are that early. And it just doesn't make enough of a difference if you don't already have a quarterback and some stable pieces of the franchise. The elite running back prospects should be going outside of the top 10. They should be going to teams that a running back actually moves the needle on, a team with a quarterback already. The problem is a lot of these teams have nothing, and they start by making a running back the centerpiece. And that build just doesn't work very often. The game has changed too much. I think even, like, if you're going to take a running back super early, they better be able to contribute in the passing game. And these days, I mean, Barkley, Zeke, and McCaffrey do. But I still don't think that most of the time it works out. It's the same logic with handing running backs huge contracts. A top 5 or top 10 pick is one of your most valuable assets. Same with actual contract value. All that money. It's usually not the best idea to use your greatest assets on a running back. I appreciate that very much, Cameron. Glad you're enjoying the content. Thank you. So when it comes to running back in the first round, a lot of people are like, no first round running backs, period. Like, I think Mel Kiper is that guy. I don't mind if you want to take a running back later in the first round. I was kind of excited when Clyde Edwards-Helaire was taken because he was my favorite running back in the class, and the champions literally drafted him. That was pretty cool. Does that mean I don't think the Vikings should have taken AP at 7? Well, one thing you have to think about is if they didn't take Adrian Peterson, what would they have done instead? And then look at what did they accomplish with Adrian Peterson? Not much first couple years. Favre shows up to make a run in 2009. And then they make the playoffs one more time in 2012, and then again 2015, and then Adrian's gone after that. Left after 2016. So it's not like they accomplished a lot with him. He had an amazing Hall of Fame career in Minnesota. But as far as the winning goes in that era, the Vikings underperformed what you would have hoped. You can draft the right player and still be wrong because that player might not change enough to make you a better team. Thank you, Stats Life, for becoming a new member on the channel. I appreciate that very much. I think we're hitting 140 now there. Thank you. Like, I didn't think Green Bay was going to sign Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a great running back, but I did not think that the Packers should re-sign him because it would limit them in free agency, and it would mean they'd lose Corey Linsley, which they already have. They had to restructure Zadarius Smith just to fit the contract, and they also spent a second rounder last year on A.J. Dillon, so it's like really strange set of decisions when put together. And the thing is, too, like, the Aaron Jones contract's really big. They didn't even pay him top running back money. They paid him, like, was he, like, the 5th? Maybe that's a little stay in Green Bay discount. Don't gotta move. Join a different team. Probably lose a bunch of games. On a per-year basis, Aaron Jones is making 75% of what McCaffrey makes. It looks like he just got Joe Mixon's contract. A very similar one. I don't know yet about the draft. I gotta see how free agency plays itself out, and I gotta learn more about some of these draft picks so I can start giving you some draft takes. What I think teams might do or what they should do. I'll start diving into that here this week. With free agency coming together, pro day information and whatnot. I know the pro day like 40 times and everything aren't all that useful, but kind of getting the last bit of information we are as far as the draft process goes. Missed the combine. I like watching the combine that Thursday morning especially, and then all throughout the weekend, getting to see all those players. Like, I really miss Mayock on NFL Network because, especially like pre-draft time, like he was a lot of fun to listen to. And he offered a lot of good insight on players and what kind of players they were, and could really summarize what they did well. NFL Network has a lot of good draft analysts, but I really miss Mayock on there. Yeah, I think at this point, receiver is going to be a major target for the Giants. It's a matter of if they go after Kenny Golladay or if they wait till the draft. Either one works. I think there are other needs you can address in the draft if you already have a receiver like Golladay. Raiders fans would love for him to be back with NFL Network. Oh man, the Raiders. I thought Derek Carr played pretty well last year, though. The defense, though. Just the Raiders can't seem to figure that out, and the one time they do, they trade away Khalil Mack. Although the defense was bad with him. But it hasn't gotten a whole lot better over the years. Kind of like me in the Texans franchise. I keep trying, but I'm not making a lot of progress. It's a treadmill series. A lot of effort going absolutely nowhere. Stats Life, thank you for the Canadian dollar super chat. Hi Kane, I've wanted to become a member for years, but I was never at a financial point where I felt comfortable to do so. I think I'm there now, so I want to thank you so much for all the content you've made. You're the best. Appreciate that. And never feel like you have to. If you want to and you've taken care of all your needs, always take care of yourself before you even think about throwing any sort of super chat or channel membership my way. Take care of yourself, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And even if you can't afford or you don't feel like it, you never have to. You don't owe me anything. Nobody does. Just you being here, being a positive member of the community and having some fun, that is plenty of support. Thank you guys. You allowed me to do this now for close to 10 years. I don't think the Raiders are tanking. I think they're ripping the Band-Aid off of moves that haven't worked for them, and they're going to try again. I don't get the Rodney Hudson move, though. I'm going to have to see that one rationalized. Alright, I got to see the Raiders information here. I like their stadium. They have a really cool stadium. They have $15 million in cap that's dead right now. 12 of that is from Rodney Hudson. So they were in a good financial situation in terms of dead cap. Derek Carr, $22 million cap hit. Wait, is this for real? Nothing happened. Mariota signed a 2-year with the Raiders, which means combined, the Raiders are spending, their cap is $37.5 million between Carr and Mariota. Trade Mariota right now to the Philadelphia Eagles. Mariota, Jalen Hurts, head-to-head preseason. Stick with Derek Carr or replace him. You got your year of backup play from Mariota. I thought Carr played pretty well. Trade Mariota right now to the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Ngakoue signing for them. Carl Nassib, 9.9 cap number. Corey Littleton, 9.3. Cleveland Farrell, 8.5. Darren Waller, 6.3. That's it. Waller signed early, securing a contract that is not quite what I think he could have gotten. But, I mean, he's in his late 20s. This is your chance to secure, you know, your retirement and everything. So, never fault anybody for taking a deal, even if they could have gotten more down the road. He signed that deal in October of 2019. He would have been 27. After being undrafted, I believe, and changing positions, changing teams. Hudson wanted out. Sometimes there's a lot of that, and it's just we don't see it. It's not public. Sometimes it does become public, like the Stephon Diggs situation. There was no ignoring that one. So yeah, sometimes it's as simple as that. Player just wants out. And usually teams are like, okay. So let's talk about some of the best available free agents right now, all right? Out of who is available? Patrick Peterson. Where do we think somebody like Pat Pete goes after all these years? I can't believe he's 31. I remember his rookie season. Cardinals played the Vikings. And I'm pretty sure Adrian Peterson ran him over and scored a touchdown in that game. That was when the Vikings were, I think, 0-4. And they finally got their first win with Donovan McNabb. It was against that team. You think Pat Pete still has some good play left or not? Yeah, this is the YouTube audio library stuff. Just different tracks that I've saved and liked over the years. I feel like I'd love for the Vikings to take a shot on somebody like Pat Pete or Adoree Jackson, just to bring in a veteran and just see what can happen if we have somebody else that's a bit more experienced while you're developing Gladney and Harrison Hand and Cam Dantzler, who's my favorite right now. Dantzler, second half of the year, was very good. Basically, anything post DK Metcalf and Julio Jones was pretty good. A lot of learning experiences early in the year for him. But Julio got him a couple times. DK got him bad in that last drive. Pour one out for all the Bears fans. You know, Mike, I was going to text you yesterday. I was going to say something. Not something too mean, because I knew you were in a probably bad mood about the whole situation there. Andy Dalton. If I were you, I would be about 3 slices into the largest Chicago style I could find. Just trying to find something good to enjoy. I'm just waiting for the Chiefs to end up with Will Fuller. Oh my goodness, that wouldn't even be fair. That would be so OP. Can you imagine if on the field, simultaneously, you have Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, and Will Fuller? What do you even do? Adoree Jackson's still a veteran. He's played for a few years. And somebody that young, when you consider what Mike Zimmer has been able to do over the years at corner, like somebody who can still probably develop and get better and has showed some pretty good play over the years. I love Adoree Jackson in Minnesota. Also an upgrade to your return game, if you decide to go that route. How come when you check out his stats, it focuses on the kick returning first? All right, what do we think about... Ooh, Carlos Dunlap's an interesting one. I could see him going to a contender, obviously. I don't think at 32 he wants to waste any more time on a losing team. I'm still waiting for somebody like him or Geno Atkins to end up with Minnesota. I think we've been waiting for a lot of those Bengals guys to come over. It really hasn't happened. Like George Iloka came over after the peak of his prime. Thoughts on LSU's new defensive coordinator, Durante Jones? Saw he was the Vikings DB coach. Don't know a ton about him, but the Vikings over the years, I think, have done a pretty good job of developing their corners and getting them to at least elevate their play. I think that last year especially, it was a tough ask having so many corners that had never played before, and they had to get their career underway by facing like Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers, and really having no veterans there to teach. So I don't know a lot about him personally, but I know as far as like DB development goes, like, seemed like the Vikings secondary is able to get better last year. But he's only a Vikings DB coach for 1 year. Before that, forget who the DB coach was. Was it Jerry Gray? Yeah. Jerry Gray has been there for every other year of Zimmer's tenure. Is Pat Elflein good? The Panthers picked him up. Vikings cut him mid-season last year. Waived him, actually. I don't think you should expect a lot from him. He gets overpowered too easily. But he can make some plays in the running game. Like, he can get to the second level. He's good on screens. Like, he's not bad at everything, but he was a liability in pass protection. A woman came into my work and said she had just gotten back from visiting Montana. When I asked where, she said Kalispell, and I got really excited. Yeah, I think that's like one of the primary destinations to go to in Montana. Like, if I had to go to Montana, I think I go to Kalispell, and I know it's close to Glacier National Park. Probably one of the more scenic areas. Every now and then I get people like showing off U-Hauls from like Kalispell. I've seen a few of those. Love it. That's like 42 minutes north of Kalispell. Yeah, Glacier National Park. Lions have released Desmond Trufant. I wanted to check this out again. Oh, 5th-year option. Okay, I can't even remember who's up for the Vikings this year, so this is going to tell me. Oh, they're not picking that up. They're not picking up Mike Hughes' option. Next Texans video once I'm done today. So here's what we got as far as the big deals so far in our Madden simulation. We got Allen Robinson to the Colts. Can they afford that? I think they just restructured to create some room. Allen Robinson to the Colts would be pretty fun. What went wrong in Favre's second year at the Vikings? That team returned all 22 of the same starters from the previous year, but the magic was gone. That team had a lot of veterans, and the roster turnover at that time, well, like, obviously it didn't change from 09 to 2010, but it was just kind of a little too late at that point, and the team just was not very good in the second year. A lot of those guys were replaced shortly thereafter. But they tried to save it by bringing in Randy Moss again. And do you know who caught Brett Favre's 500th touchdown pass. That was Monday Night Football against the Jets. It was Moss. When will Madden let us restructure contracts? That's what I want to know. When can I convert something into a salary signing bonus? Not a salary bonus. I don't want to see Will Fuller go to the Lions, man. No. Kenny Golladay going to the Dolphins here. I think Dolphins fans would be pretty happy with that. What feature does Madden 22 need to make you retire the Broncos and start a new franchise? I think that if the offseason got more interesting with scouting, like I'd be pretty excited to start something new. I guess I've always intended on ending Broncos when this new game is out. And it looks like we're getting coaching staffs and hopefully scouting's different. I'm really hoping that's going to be different this year. I'm tired of scouting the way it is in this game. That would change a lot for me. Like, come on, this is not scouting. My problem with Madden's scouting system is it's not a scouting system. Okay? What I mean by that is I'm not scouting any of these players. I'm simply given their top 3 ratings. That's not scouting. I'm not given a bunch of information on these players. I'm literally just given ratings. It's like taking a test and having 5 out of the 20 questions given to you. That's not scouting. It's kind of scouting when you get the combine report. There's no weaknesses shown here. There's no injury history. That's not scouting. You're just showing me a few things that he is best at. I know how to do this. It's been the same for 5 years. You can skip the whole tutorial. If I'm curious here about Alex Thomas, the talent grades, by the way, shouldn't exist. They should not tell you right there, he's a 5th round talent, which means if you take him anytime before that, you are getting a poor value. True talent, throw it away. Projection, keep it. Combine, keep it. Top skills, I don't mind if that's there, but I want strengths and weaknesses in addition. And I want to know athletic profile before the combine. Give me about a range, letter grade, something that says this player, excellent speed, strength might not be very good, average acceleration, average leaping ability. This isn't scouting. That's the main problem. 2K's system, MLB, much better. The problem is I don't know if Emmanuel Gaddis is a good player to draft in the 5th round. And now I know he's not. That took 5 seconds. Could have been 4 if I was really on my game. Head coach's scouting is a lot more fun. Scouting should be, if every player is a puzzle, it's all about finding the pieces and figuring out athletically what can they do, skill-wise, what can they do? Medically, are there any concerns? And figuring out, based on all that information, what that player is to you. Are they an early round priority? Are they a day one starter caliber player? There is no... You don't need to use your brain when it comes to this scouting enough. I agree. I think that the way rookie overall and development is handled has never been done right in a football game, to my memory. I haven't played a lot of 2K in a long time. It's been almost 20 years since I was deep into a 2K series, or a 2K franchise that I corrupted on my PlayStation 2 memory card. That sucked. But I do think that there has to be a way for you to get rookies and have them become like immediate stars without this hardwired system of development the way it is. I do like that development can change, but it feels like it'd be better if players came in a certain tier, and then based on their play, they can rise or fall within that tier or make it to a different tier. Now, I'm not just talking about like being drafted with star development and unlocking superstar development. I mean being able to evaluate that player at the end of the season and then kind of regrading them almost to say, okay, based on their play as a rookie, this development or this makes sense. Like, there's got to be something more dynamic than this. But we're a long way from seeing that in place. I like to see some sort of fluid development for younger players. And then once you're, a few years into your career, you are who you are, for the most part. And then that's where I think Madden's current system actually does a pretty good job. Where it's like, all right, this is a 4-year veteran, you're signing him, he's normal development. Oh, he had a good season, now he's star development, and he can develop a little bit further. And I've seen so many great success stories in my deep rebuilds of players who break out in like year 7 or year 6. Just get with the right team, get to play, and then their ratings take off. It's super cool to see. But that system doesn't work well for rookies and players the first couple of years of their career. That's why you end up with your leagues 5 years in, the best players are whoever's there when the series began. Because they don't really have a good system for allowing rookies to become the stars early in their careers. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. So how right is the draft order here? Jaguars took a safety number 1. Wait a minute. Who's their quarterback? Interesting move there. Another safety. What's going on? Two safeties to start the draft. a center and 2 safeties going in the top 4. I love it. Why is this so slow? When I'm drafting offline, it's so easy. Why is Cloud Franchise slower? I thought the Cloud was supposed to be fast. Early first talent. Didn't even look at his top 3. Normal development guard for the Vikings. .88 strength. That doesn't sound like the Vikings. They would take a guy with 81, but like 71 speed. Definitely better run blocker than pass blocker. Kind of fits what the Vikings do. A little bit. I gotta see these safeties though. Like, how good are these safeties that just went with number 1 and number 2? You know, Zach, I had forgotten about that Jets Wildcat thing I was doing. I remembered it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, wow, I never followed up on that. Totally forgot. I might take that out in a stream again sometime, though, and just mess around. I want to do more streams like that, where I'm just kind of screwing around. Maybe we can make a video out of it. I just want to see how good these safeties are. The Falcons can't really do a lot with their cap space. I don't think that they're going to be making any sort of big moves. I mean, they traded for Lee Smith at like the beginning of everybody making exciting moves. I mean, you got Matt Ryan on a 26 cap number, Julio's on a 23, Grady Jarrett's 20, Dante Fowler 18. Yeah. And when you look at some of the players here, they're going to have to look at re-signing. Just don't have the flexibility. But I mean, that's a ton to your top players right there. Like, the cap this year is down, obviously. But between Matt Ryan, Julio, Grady Jarrett, and Dante Fowler, you're approaching 100 million with those guys. And that's 4 guys. Pretty top heavy here with their cap numbers. I'm curious here about their top 6. 26.9 plus 23 plus 20.8 plus 18.5 plus 12.6 plus 12.2. So the Falcons' top 6 players are accounting for 114 million towards the cap right now. Which is like over 60% of the cap. Just so top heavy. You got to make sure the number 4 pick's a good one. Now, compared to a team like the Vikings, who also have big contracts and a big quarterback cap number, what are their top 6? And they're a team that's in a bad spot with their cap. Their top 6 players account for 99 million. So about 100 million. And the Falcons are at 114 with their top 6. There's a limit, and they've found it, basically. Now let's talk about a team who has cap space, all right? The Jaguars. Is anybody left from that team that made it to the AFC Championship game? Largest cap number on the Jaguars is 15 to Andrew Norwell. Wow. The Jaguars' top 6 players amount to $65.4 million. So roughly $50 million less than the Falcons and about $40 million less than the Vikings. It's just kind of a cycle of teams that haven't spent all their money and then teams that have. And you can't be the team that has money to spend every single year. Scratch that, you can. The Jaguars are that team most of the time. Maybe there was a year where they had to take it off after they had brought in like Malik Jackson and Calais Campbell and everybody had that great defense. Yeah, Miles Jack is still there. He's had to make a lot of new friends recently. All right, Gregory Mullen, free safety, went number 1, 89 speed, 71 zone, 72 tackle. You got an all-around safety, number 1. What's his dev? Yeah, I believe the Carson Wentz trade is official now too. This is so much faster offline. Superstar. Cedric Maynard, also all-around safety. A little bit lower rated than the number 1 guy. Star dev. First quarterback went at 18 in this class. To the Dolphins. Why did the Dolphins take a first-round quarterback? Did they make draft logic worse? Well, I guess Tua's a 73 in game, so that is pretty low. But I thought they took into account the years. Is he not high enough overall to trigger that? 73 is really low. But you'd think that him entering year 2 would delay them drafting a quarterback in here. The Bears just said, yeah, that's good enough. We will play Nick Foles. Oh man, Allen Robinson left. Not looking so good. Alright everybody, that is going to do it for the stream today. I have a Texans video to post, and I will get that up here in just a few minutes. I'm going to make the thumbnail quick and get that set up, and then it'll be posted. And then tomorrow, I don't know 100% yet, but I'm going to be recording. Oh, I missed Super Chat. I'm sorry. I was so focused on my screen. Based on the current state of Madden, best way to play franchises with fully custom draft classes. Takes more time, but auto-generated classes are awful. Oh, 100%, and that's why the blackjack draft classes make the Broncos franchise what it is. Wouldn't be there with just the EA classes. And shout out to anybody that's just putting together those kind of classes just so people have something that is not that makes a little more sense and has more fun player archetypes and whatnot. Appreciate the super chat. But that is going to do it for today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the stream talking about free agency. Maybe we'll do it again when there's some more stuff happening. We didn't get a lot of new stuff here at the open of free agency, the official open anyway. But there are still a lot of dominoes to fall in this receiver market. Kenny Golladay, Curtis Samuel, Will Fuller. Really excited to see where those guys go and what kind of deals they get. But might be waiting a little while. So that's going to do it for this one, everybody. I'll see you all later. Appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Have a great day.